Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the next evolution of things we've released around our contracting solution. About 2 months ago, we ran through the initial webinar, which was taking everyone through effectively how the contracting solution has evolved, which has been a significant amount of time and investment on our side, ultimately with the objective to try and streamline taking information from the system and populating it on a contract and setting it for signature, with the objective ultimately to try and assist agents to send contracts faster and save time, improve compliance, and really avoid so much of that context shifting between, whatever platform you're using today, going between your CRM and Openn and all those sorts of things. So contracting has always been a big part of the Openn platform, but the way that it's evolved in the last couple of months, and particularly in the last couple of weeks, has really meant that it's now in a position to be fully flexible, and you can effectively send any document to anyone for signing at any time, regardless of if they've made an offer through the system. But of course, if they've made an offer through the system, then things are even faster. So we'll jump into it. I'll step through a few things. And yeah, again, if you have any questions, then Kay will be monitoring, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end. So I'm just going to share my screen here. Pick the right one, this one. Okay, you can see that all right, Kay? Cool. Okay, so let's just start here. Okay, so effectively the agenda for today is in line with what we sent in the email that we shared a couple of days ago about this training. We're going to be talking about the new features that have been released. About 2 months ago, we went through, as I said, a session which was all about how you can just use the fundamentals of the platform. So we won't be recovering that, but what I will say is that you can always just come and find the videos in here. So this is the last contract training we did, which starts with more of the basics, pre-preparing a contract, sending pre-contractuals, sending signatures, all within the confines of an actual property or campaign itself. Today is going to be showing you how you can send a contract to someone that may not have submitted an offer through the platform, which from time to time can happen. So yeah, we're going to talk to you about how you can do that. We are going to show you how you can send a contract even if there's no property on the platform. We're going to talk about the documents section, and then we're going to show you an additional little feature that we've embedded into your default offer form. That's just going to help a buyer to understand the information that we're trying to extract. And all of these things are interlinked, because if we get good, clean information from our buyers, it assists with populating a contract in a more streamlined way. And this is, of course, everybody's experiencing typically a bit of a downturn in the market. And so formalizing offers and getting contracts to buyers as quick as possible is as important as ever. So that's the agenda. So you can see that I am in the training environment here. So this big ghastly yellow banner represents training environment, meaning you can come in here and play and send things without any downside, or it's not real in effect. So you can navigate to that by just coming to the main menu and going to training. If you want to get out of training, you just click that button again and you're going to be back in the main sort of screen. So that's how that works. Now, what you can see is that all of your contracts, your templates, and your documents are now stored under the Contracts tab, which is at the top navigation here. So previously, your templates were in this menu. They've all been moved up here. So if you've been scratching your head on that, that's where they've gone. The point is that it's going to start storing quite a lot of information. So signatures is going to store just documents that have gone in an envelope that have been signed by a buyer, a seller, or someone else. Your documents is going to be a store of all of the documents, irrespective of if they've been signed, anything that's been uploaded to any property, and you can access them all in one single view, just as another means for you to go and review and find things, because sometimes it's going to be easier for you to send from this view rather than from within a property. And then your templates are all of the things that we assist you to prepare. So for instance, if you're in Western Australia, it's pretty common that you're going to have a subset of all of your blank forms, and then we do our best to match them to the way that you're operating. So For example, you can see these guys have an O&A, an offer and acceptance, a contract for those not familiar with Western Australian terminology. And in this case, we've set it up that it's with finance. So it's just a little bit quicker for you to prepare a contract for someone that is subject to finance. And then there's a without finance option as well, just here. So the benefit of coming in here to fix things can translate downstream if you are finding yourself persistently tweaking the positioning of things when you're preparing contracts for buyers. You can save yourself having to do that every time by just coming into your templates and editing your master template. So you just click on edit. You shouldn't need to change anything there unless you wanted to improve the name so everybody in the agency absolutely knew which one to select when they're preparing everything. And for example, I can see immediately here on this template that property chattels as a data field is overlapping something that's already hard coded. So it makes sense to remove that. Same with this field. So delete that, delete that. You could obviously do it on the fly, meaning you're not going to slow down and have to start again, but I don't really want to have to do that every time. Maybe also I want to make the dollar sign and the winning price a little closer together to meet my preferences. So I can save that, complete it, and from here forward, that template will be set up in a way that I prefer, ultimately saving me more time. So that's how that works. We'll just come back into training. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how you can send a contract to someone that may have not submitted an offer through the system. So all we need to do is come into the contracts tab up the top again, and then we're just going to come to the signatures tab and we're going to prepare a document. Now you won't have to take this step. It's just because we're admins. So it'll automatically know who you are. And so what we can do here is have no property details. So let's say that, I don't know, you want to sign a lease agreement for the place that you rent as a business. You can technically sign anything and send it to anyone unrelated to Openn, just simply by following the flow of adding signees, adding their details, uploading your document, applying fields, sending it. Nothing's stopping you from doing that. The benefit of adding a property, of course, is that we can pre-fill a lot of the information that is already stored in the system. So when you upload a listing to Openn, we're capturing a bunch of information. All of that information populates a contract. So again, we're just saving you the bother of having to copy and paste. Now we can come in here and we can choose to a buyer. Perhaps it's one that's already in the system. Any contact that's been created in the past will be available here. You can search for them, or you can go ahead and just create, a new individual. So Karen Brown in this case, and we're going to go with just a random email. Like that, and we'll go add recipient. Now I can add another signee if I wish. I can CC someone, meaning they would receive the document, like a settlement agent or a buyer's agent or a solicitor. So all those things can be done, and what we've done to make it easy is just you can do it all within this screen. So it's nice and easy to add them rather than having to go out and create a contact elsewhere. Once they've been added, you just click next, and if you've used the system before, you'd be familiar with this screen. Effectively, you're able to find anything that you've already uploaded against the property, as a document, or you can use one of your templates. So a listing agreement or a contract, let's say. So you will be able to find your contracts under each of these different sections. If you have set up a template which is individualized for you, let's say you work in a big office and you prefer to run things in a certain way, we can set up a template that's specific to you, meaning you don't have to comply with the rest of what the agency does because you like doing things in a certain way. An example being, some agents like to have every special condition initialed. Some are not too stressed about it. That's okay. We can adjust and make the template suitable for your individual circumstance. The key thing is then remembering to obviously select the correct template, which is going to be listed under agent templates here. I'm just going to use the Openn template here, which is just like a general unbranded one, a West Australian one in this case, because I'm selected a Western Australian address. I know that it was finance applicable. I know that they wanted gas electrical, and I know that they wanted, say, major structural. At this point, I can shuffle things to get them into the right order. And then I can click next once I'm happy. So in here, I've asked for an update for this, but one thing that I just recommend is putting the name in, just so you know exactly what it is. Clicking next, and then again, we're really just in a space that you should be familiar with. The only difference, of course, here is that we're telling you that some of the fields have been removed because we don't store the information in the system. And so this is just where you can populate that information. So it's pretty simple. You just grab your text box and you draw it in and you write in whatever information it is that you want to. Like sort of as simple as that. And if you wanted to fast track even this part, then you can click on saved fields and it would automatically apply text boxes all into the right spot. So it's just really easy for you to type in right away. But, you know, everyone's sort of different in their preferences here. So you can pick and choose how you want to approach that. Again, we're here to help you with setting that up if you want to reach out. So everything's kind of set, ready to go. The only thing I need to do here is add my signatures for the buyer. So let me go and put her on here. And you don't need to stress too much about the seller signatures because we haven't elected to send it to a seller. If you want comfort, you can delete them, but really it doesn't know where to send it. So nothing's going to happen there and it's not going to cause an error. So you're checking through everything. You know, you want to make sure that everything here is accurate. To do that, you just click on preview. So if it's your own agency, most of the time the stuff up here is going to be hard coded. You'll have your logos. There's going to be some specific deposit, trust account details, all that sort of stuff is already populated. But you can see we have gone ahead and populated some of the information in here that we know that we're able to take from the platform just to, again, help to streamline things. Once that's all good, we can click send. And effectively, it's going to package it up and it operates exactly the way that you'd already be familiar with other signing platforms like DocuSign and others, whereby the individual that you're sending the contract to will receive an email and then they can open the contract, they can review it, and they can sign it on screen, which complies with all the electronic signature legislation. So yeah, we're in the signatures tab here. You can see that the document I just created has been sent to Karen. I can click in here and I'm going to see what's happening with that document. So when it's viewed, you get notified. When it's signed, you get notified. And of course, you can come in here, resend it, you can cancel it. You could sign it in person, which I'll show you in a sec. All the things you'd expect, or you can just view it to make sure that you got things right. So that's sort of the way that works. Once, let's say Karen signed it, and we might have a couple other contracts that we've prepared, we can then determine if we want to send that contract to the seller, which is pretty easy to do. So yeah, so that's basically the simplicity of creating a contract without the buyer putting an offer through the system. In the event that we were wanting to have this signed in person, I don't know, for some reason you end up going around their place to kind of talk through the contract, but you still kind of want to leave with a signature, you can use this feature, which is pretty cool. Effectively says, you know, are you sitting there with Karen and can you get her to sign it next to you? So you just click that, and then you can just start signing, create the signature and finish. So it'll take you through all the different fields, making sure everything's been checked and signed. And then we're in here and we can see now that that's been signed. So that is in effect the way that you can send a contract to someone that doesn't submit an offer through the system. Similarly, we can prepare a contract and we don't have to apply a property. So it works exactly the same way. We can come here and not add a property, just send a document to Karen that's something totally unrelated. At this point, I can just add any document, say like this, which again is a contract, but it could be anything. I just want to get an additional signature. And then I come in here, I go next, and really you've now just got a totally free space to add and edit whatever it is that you want. So Yeah, that's effectively how the contracting solution has evolved. If there's any questions on it, feel free to shoot them through. There's always going to be nuance. There's going to be little things that will come up, and it tends to work best if we work through those with you when the situation comes up. We're always available to talk on the phone, etc. Okay, so I think I mentioned this earlier, but your documents tab is going to be a store of all of your signed documents, everything else from every different property. It is pretty neat because sometimes you've uploaded a property, particularly if you're with Vault, all of the files you upload to Vault will come through Vault automatically. We're about to announce that, but everybody gets access to that at no cost. So it's a pretty big benefit for Vault users. And then the other major CRMs are on foot for us to kick off with next. What that means is that you're going to have all the documents in Vault. They're going to feed through into Openn based on what it is that you specified that you want us to import. And then from here, it's really easy for you to simply find a simple way of sending any document to anyone at any time. So we're basically just trying to find multiple avenues for you to access the information that you'd expect to see and make it really quick and easy, regardless of where you are, to prepare a document or prepare a document that's specific, that you know what it is, etc. So that's the purpose of the Documents tab. That's the purpose. Signatures, again, is just the signed contracts only, and then your templates we've already discussed. So that, in essence, is how things have evolved. Listing agreements are possible. We'll just set up a template for you, and then you can just enter the information and send it basically, or more or less, on the spot. It's all able to be done from your phone. It's able to be done from a computer, and you can access and see how things are tracking at all times. So again, it's just all about keeping everything under one roof, so to speak. The last piece, just as we wait and see if there's any other questions that come in around the contracting, is a little different to this, but it's interrelated, and that's about just a small addition we've made to the default forms. And so what you can see is, again, you'll just see your own forms in here, but there's a new feature in here which is pretty cool, and that is that you can now add a description to the field. So it's just another place for you to add information to guide buyers towards the specific information you're trying to extract. The objective, of course, is we're trying to get the information and all the information that we need, and we're trying not to chase people up, and we're trying to avoid something causing a hiccup downstream, particularly as market dynamics are more challenging. We want to just make sure that every duck's in a row and try to get things happening as streamlined as possible. One of the ways to do that would be to add information that helps them to understand what they need to input. And so an example on this one, we're saying, the ownership structure. If the buyer puts in 2 buyers, then we need to know how they want it purchased and set up on the contract. If they only put 1 buyer, it defaults to a sole purchaser. But in this case, if we're going to go, I actually don't know the answer which one of these is a split, but they select the right one. We could even put a little description in here, which would be, please help us to understand if you prefer to whatever, and explain it to people. For example, specify the undivided shares. We'll give them some guidance on how you want them to put that information in. Similarly with finance, we've put down here, again, this is a West Australian thing. It's not necessarily across all states. Provide an estimated amount in dollars or a percentage of the purchase price. We're just trying to help to give these buyers an insight, an instinct around what it is that they need to enter, all in the view of trying to get the correct information across as soon as possible. So yeah, have a play with that. It's as simple as just going here and then switching on the description, and then you just click into the field. So tick that, come in here and show who is the lender providing you with the funds to purchase this property, and then it will drop it in. Come down here, you go save, and then you go apply, and you'll see every listing you've got live at that point in time will automatically have that new template applied to the listing, so that you kind of can backtrack and make sure that all the adjustments are live, I guess, on all the listings you have running at that point in time. That's as simple as that is. So That's a bit of an update on contracts. Couple other things to update on is if you are in Western Australia, then the O&A has been updated. It now includes a line to help the buyer and the seller understand that there's an AML KYC process. And so we are reaching out at the moment. We sent an email this morning. If you can just send us your new template, we'll get that all sorted for you so you're fully compliant for the 1st of July. That's not a difficult job for us. So we just need the blank template sent over and we'll update it and we'll make sure that within that process, everything's sort of aligned perfectly. So that's one of the benefits of us going through that process, is just making sure that your templates are spot on. And yeah, as I mentioned, if you are a Vault user, I think before the end of the week, you're going to be receiving an email about the new two-way integration. It's going to pull data in, it's going to feed data back, and it's going to enhance your experience with Openn such that there's less double entry, more information is being poured back into your CRM to create more opportunities, and a whole bunch of other things that really will enhance the process and the experience of using Openn. So Agent Box we're in conversation with, Rex we're in conversation with, Locked On we're in conversation with, many others as well, and our intention is to do that same process with all of them. So that's pretty well a wrap. We will maybe just see if there's any questions that's come through, Kale, and then yeah, love to help anyone on a one-to-one basis when you're ready and keen to jump in and start using this part of the platform.
Yep, there is a couple of questions, Sean. So the first one from Emma: do the forms automatically update when Rewa update a form? I think Sean just alluded to that, but just want to touch on that again.
Yeah, so no, they don't. So we need you to send us the updated template. We pretty well learn about any changes as and when they occur. And the reality is they don't actually change that often. This AML KYC is an example of when they change. We'll reach out proactively, and it's really simple for us to update it because effectively we just apply exactly what your template was to the new template and then just adjust it so that it's all going to be perfectly aligned. So yeah, you just send us your new template and it'll be up and live and ready to go, within the same day type thing. So
next question from Matt: in the seller details, it gives them a choice of an individual or company as the ownership entity. Can there be an option for a trust?
yeah, you just need to enter the trust details into the company name. So what will happen with the system is that in the event that you choose to, the buyer wants to buy a property in a company name, or the seller wants to, or the seller owns the property in a company name, then the system will automatically pick up that that's the case, and it will replace their name with the company name and also apply the ABN if you've added it. So with a trust, you just select a company and put, whatever it is as trustees for blah, 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 and it will populate it onto the system. Key thing to be mindful of is sometimes those trust names are like super long, so you might just need to edit the field a little bit so that, all the information fits in. But yeah, just put it in under the company and it will populate it so it meets your requirements.
Is there an option to add in a signing order, i.e. send to the buyer first and then have it sent or go to the seller afterwards?
So yes, to some degree. What we're aiming to do is allow you to select a signing order so that you can send it to both buyer one and buyer two at the same time. So it's indifferent. Right now, that's not an availability. It goes to buyer one, then it goes to buyer two. If you wanted it to go to a seller first, which would probably not be too common, then you could do that. You would just choose to send it to the seller, and then once you've got it back, you can then send it to the buyer. The way that we sort of suggest managing it, in the event that you're going to have, say a few contracts signed and you wanted to present a couple of them to your buyer, is that you would come in and you'll see here, for example, that this buyer, which is Stuart Stevens, has signed it, and this one's just pending. So when you press send, it would send it to the seller, meaning they've got it in their inbox and they're ready to co-sign, meaning we pretty well have a done deal. If you're signing multiple contracts, then we suggest setting up the flow in a way that in a way that wouldn't automatically send it. So I'll just show you. So we'll come in, let's say it's Stuart. We want to prepare a contract for sale. And you can see here, we're going to send it to Stuart, and then manually, I want to decide when I send it to David, because I'm going to get multiple contracts signed. Maybe I'm even going to print off 3 and turn up to their house and sort of talk through them. If you know this is a done deal, then you can save yourself a click and set it to send automatically, whereby once Stuart signed it, it would then automatically send it to David, who's the seller. So the next step will be, in the event that there was, 2 buyers. So let's say, this person. What we're going to do is allow you to sort of drag this up here so that it sends in parallel. So both Stuart and James would get it at the same time, and then it's kind of indifferent who signs it. It's coming. We do releases in stages. So at the moment, the way that this is set up is the way that it will go in terms of orders. You just unmute, mate.
So final question here, how do we ensure that all the different fields are the same font size? Currently, there seems to be different font sizes on different forms or different fields.
Yeah, so the best way to handle that is when you are adding things to the contract and you want things to be a consistent size, is that rather than having, for example, your template preloaded with some words that are extracted out of REI forms, is that we just have the Openn system populate them so that there's a consistency throughout. So like if we just have a look at this one, for example, some people not too phased because the difference in them is not significant, but sometimes, and this is not to throw any shade on people that are sticklers for perfection, totally respect that. You can manage it by just having all of the text input by the system. So I'll just show you. So I've just typed in James Blunt. That'll automatically resize in the event that it needs to be smaller to fit into a field. But if we go preview, you can see that there is a slight difference in the fonts between here and here. So what we would do if you're someone that wants that and that to look exactly the same is just we'll delete all of the words out of here, and then we will put the words back in using our system. And then they're kind of hard-coded, so it'll be fine. And then you have sort of a total consistency. So another example is property chattels. We would just input the chattels for you so that it's all going to be exactly the same. But by and large, it's pretty close. The main one that sort of tends to stand out is down here, which is, if we just get rid of this, if I add in text below some existing special conditions, and then I go preview, there's a slight difference in those two. So way to overcome that is just delete these words out, which we can do for you, and we put it all back into a text box, which is actually better anyway, because then you have flexibility to remove something or change it on the fly. Whereas if it's hard coded in here, there's nothing you can do to change that if it was required. So yeah, that is how you would best manage that. And again, we go through this with you one-to-one. It's not like we just leave you out in the lurch trying to figure it out yourself. So
one more question, Sean. I want to create a blank contract to show potential buyers and store for public use in documents. How can I do that?
Oh yeah, for sure. So what you'll do is you'll come to, this is in the previous training session. I'll just really quickly whiz through it. So if you watch the YouTube video, again, just go search Openn. It's like the first thing I cover. Let's say that this is your property. You come into edit and you want to pre-prepare something so that you can share it with people, maybe even upload it and make it public for people to view when they're coming to the Openn link. You click on your documents, you come over to these 3 dots and you go prepare document. And then you're going to choose, whatever your templates are. So probably doesn't matter if it's finance applicable or not at this point. I'm going to add timber, major structural, gas and electrical. I'm probably going to put in a joint form as well. I go next. Probably would have been good just that step before to give it a better name than whatever gobbledygook the platform comes up with. And then you can see there's going to be certain things in here that we can populate. If you've already written in the property chattels, which I don't know if we have yet. No, it's empty. So on this listing, if you'd written in to the chattels on the form that, the buyer's aware that the dishwasher is included, it would populate here. But equally, if you or your existing template already has it pre-written, it's already going to be pre-written here. So that a typical example would be, we always have the standard special conditions of annexure A, B, and C form part of this contract. Cool. If you select your template, it will show that here. But let's say, for example, so it would look like this. I just used the Openn one, which is all blank. So annexure A, B, and C form part of this contract. It would look a bit like that. So you come into your preview and you're going to see, never knows that I'm saying annexure, but take my word that that says annexure. A, B, and C form part of this contract. All you would do is say, oh, okay, this property is tenanted. So I'm just going to double click in here and I'm going to say, the buyer is aware the property is tenanted until the 26th of August, 2026. And then that'll update. So then all I have to do is save it. And then you come to preview. So you're going to save the template, meaning you can use it as a contract later, and you go save as document. And then that's going to save it to your documents folder as a static PDF. So we can get out of this now. And under documents, it's there. And so it's the same document, right? The difference is this one's got fields populated, so you can use that. You don't have to waste your effort that you put into it. This one, you can now apply to the property. So I just go public, save, and I come out of here and I come click on the property, and you can see that I've publicly made this document available for people to view and get a sense of what they will be completing in the event that they were going to be successful. So again, happy to rerun through that because I've gone super fast, but there is a training where I go through it slightly slower, / you can rewatch bits that you want to follow along with, or just pick up the phone, here to help. So cool. Conscious that everybody's probably trying to figure out what they're going to do with AML KYC, so I don't want to take up too much more time, but hopefully it's starting to give you a sense of how the system's evolving. There's more and more improvements coming. If you find there's just an obvious way that the flow could be improved from your own experience, please let us know. And please reach out. We're here to help you guide through the process. I think once you are willing to take the time to just unlearn a little bit about what you already know and relearn how the Openn system works, the people that are adopting the platform are finding that they're just getting contracts out quicker. They're more compliant. They're not missing things. And the end result of that is a good thing. So hope that helps and hope you got some value out of today. And if we missed any questions, we'll do our best to look them up and come back to everybody after the webinar. We do record this. We'll upload it to YouTube so you can rewatch anything. And yeah, hopefully helpful. So have a great day, everyone. Look forward to chatting with all of you more about how you can get the most out of this part of the system. Cheers.